Hey everyone, and thank you again for tuning in to Journey of Footsteps. Today we are going to cook something a little bit naughty. If you've been following these videos so far, thank you very much, and you will know that we have been very healthy by eating lots of vegetables and a lot of plant-based food. But if you are thinking of trying a plant-based diet or a vegan diet or even a vegetarian diet, it doesn't mean that you can no longer eat nice cakes and sweets. Obviously, personally, as someone trying to follow a plant-based diet, I'm trying to cut that stuff out. But I have an incredibly sweet tooth and I do love a bit of cake or a cookie. So today, yes, today is the day we are going to bake some cookies. These cookies are vegan friendly, so there are no additives or no animal products in them whatsoever. So kind of on the scale of things, they're not healthy, but they are healthier than regular cookies, so that kind of makes me feel a little bit better when eating them. Today we will be using the oven, so if you are under the age of 16, remember, please get permission from your parent or guardian, and please make sure that you have some help, because the oven will get very hot, and when we're dealing with the trays with the cookies on, it could be very dangerous. We don't want anyone with burnt hands. Today's recipe comes from Bosch. A really good vegan cookbook. I highly recommend it. I have changed the recipe slightly with extra ingredients, and they like to blend all their recipes. I personally like to do it all by hand, so that's the only real difference. But for the base recipe comes from Bosch. Again, really recommend this book. For this recipe, you're going to need 250 grams of 100% plant-based butter, 225 grams of caster sugar, 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract, 1 tablespoon of golden syrup, 300 grams of plain flour, 1 teaspoon of baking powder, half a teaspoon of salt, and any other ingredients that you would like to put in your cookies. For example, today I'm going to put chocolate covered raisins, plain raisins, and I'm going to try some peanut butter. The tools you're going to need for today are a mixing bowl, a fork, measuring spoons, scales, baking paper, and some baking trays. Today you're going to need to use an oven to bake your cookies. If you have a fan assisted oven, that is epic, because it means that you'll be able to put in a few trays of cookies and they'll cook evenly. If not, it's not an issue, but when you are baking your cookies, you're going to want to swap them over in the oven so they get evenly cooked. But I'm going to turn mine onto fan assisted, and then we want to preset our oven to about 180 degrees Celsius. First things first, we're going to add the butter. Next, the vanilla extract. Then the golden syrup. And lastly, the sugar. Now we're going to use our fork to mix it all together and make a nice cream. Now it's very important at this point that our fingers are clean, because we do need to just have a little taste and check. Lovely. Now we're going to need to add the salt and the baking powder. And the flour. Now for this bit, I like to use my hands. Ta-da! And remember, again, it's very important to wash your hands one more time, because we should get a little bit to check. Yeah, cookie dough. So now we've made our cookie dough, the next thing to do is to prepare our trays. Now I'm very lucky, I've got a pretty big oven to use, so I can fit 3 trays into the oven, so I'm going to prepare 3. Obviously if you can't and you've got a smaller oven, you can just put the cookie dough in the fridge, and you can always do it the next day or the day after. Personally, I wouldn't leave it any more than that. Or what you could do is do a batch, and then whilst the first batch are cooling, you cook the second batch. So what we need to do is just take your baking paper, measure it roughly across the baking tray, just so it covers the base, like so. So I'm going to do that to all 3, and then we're going to start making our cookies. So this is probably the most dangerous part of making the cookies, because at this point the cookie dough is very, very delicious, and it's very tempting just to eat a little bit. I mean, it's very tempting just to eat a little bit of cookie dough, which then turns into the whole bowl. So you have to be strong with yourself. Now what we want to do is pinch a little bit of the dough, and we're going to round it off into a small ball about the size of a walnut or a large marble. I'm going to put a little bit. If you made the falafels, it's about the same size as the falafels that we made. And then we're going to put this onto, let me turn this around, onto our baking tray. And then what we want to do is just push that down slightly. So it now becomes, move that out of the way. So we've pushed it down slightly, so it now becomes a little flatter. But we don't want to push it right down so it's thin. Just give it 2 or 3 taps on top, just to flatten it. Now just repeat the process until you've made as many cookies as you wish. Another little tip for when you're making your cookies is, after you've rolled them into a ball and you put them on the tray, make sure that they're spaced, so there's at least the gap of another cookie in between each one. Otherwise, when you come to baking them, you'll find that it will just be one big cookie, which to be fair doesn't sound that bad. But if we want nice individual round cookies, we want to make sure that there's a little bit of space in between each one. I've finished my first tray of cookies. Now with the second tray. Now this tray, I have to be honest, on camera this is going to be an experiment. I haven't done this before. I thought of doing it the other day and thought, why not do it on camera and see how it comes out. Now I'm going to do exactly the same as what I did with the first batch of cookies. Okay, so I'm going to take a bit of the batter, or a bit of the dough, sorry, get my terminology right. I'm going to make the ball, and I'm going to put it on my tray and squish it down. Now what I'm going to do is put my finger in the middle and just make like a little well. Bring that up to the camera. You see? There you go. We've got a little well in the middle of our cookie. Then what I'm going to do is put a little bit of peanut butter. Again, this peanut butter is pure peanut butter, so there's no added sugar. and it's just delicious. Now I'm just going to put a little dollop peanut butter in there. Lovely. Peanut butter cookies. Peanut butter cookies. Whew. Okay, peanut butter cookies done. So now the next ones. The next ones we're going to use chocolate coated raisins. This is with vegan chocolate. So have a look. I got these from the co-op. They're really nice. I do recommend you do check them because you never know, you might get a bad batch. And like they're saying at the moment, you should always test more than once. Yeah, they're good. So, I'll just wash my hands. So now we're going to get some more of the batter, but before you roll it up into a ball, just put a bit of the batter in your hand, take a few of the raisins, a couple of pinches of raisins, and now just mix them in. If you've got lots of raisins or lots of chocolate chips or lots of the ingredients and you only want to make that batch, then just tip all of the ingredients into the bowl with a cookie dough and give it a really good mix like that. If you're doing it like this and you want to make lots of different types, this is kind of the easiest way to do it. So then all you're going to do, again, pop your cookie onto the tray, give it a wee bit of a push down, and then on to the next one. That is all my cookies made, and I've managed to get 22 cookies made, and I still have a lot. I reckon I could get another tray of cookies out of that, so it just shows you can make a lot of cookies with this recipe. For now, I'm going to store this over on the side, and then once these are done, I'll make another batch of cookies. But I do recommend that we check your cookie dough, because we don't want to put it over there and then maybe something happens to it. Maybe it goes off. So I recommend that we taste a little bit. Let's double check. Try to remember that taste, and then when you come to make your second batch of cookies, I then recommend that you test it again and make sure it tastes the same, just in case it had gone off. In the ingredients I did also mention raisins. For the next batch I might try some raisin ones, but they're basically the same as the chocolate raisins, just slightly healthier. So the cookies are ready, the oven's nice and warm, so let's put them in. Close the door, and then we're going to set the timer for about 12 to 14 minutes. I'm going to set it for 12 minutes, and then when the alarm goes off I'm going to check them and just keep an eye on them. If they've started to fan out and they're a little bit golden around the edge, that's perfect. Take them out. They'll still be soft, so don't touch them, and then we're going to let them cool, and that's when they go hard. The cookies have been in the oven now for about 14 minutes and are looking very nice. So they're still soft in the middle, but they're nice and golden around the outside, and that's when we want to take them out. Oven gloves on. Be very careful, especially when opening the oven door. You're going to get a big waft of hot air, so keep your face back. Oh, the smell is lovely. Okay, so these are the plain cookies. So as you can see, they're nice and golden around the outside and still quite soft in the middle. Next to come out are the chocolate raisins. Again, very soft in the middle, but you can see how they kind of come together. Yeah, that's why we need to make sure that they're nicely spaced, otherwise it just becomes a big mess. And the last ones to come out are the peanut butter. Now actually they've come out really well. I'm not sure what they'll taste like, but they look good. So now I'm going to leave the oven on because I'm going to do one more tray of cookies in a moment. But remember, if you're not doing any more cooking, turn off the oven. We're now going to leave the cookies like this for between 5 to 10 minutes just to cool down and harden. And then if you do have any cooling racks, you can put these out and then transfer the cookies onto these to cool quickly. If you don't have any cooling racks, then just take the cookies off carefully and put them on a cold plate. For storing, I put the cookies into a plastic sealed tub and leave them on the side in the kitchen, and then you can take one out when you want one. They don't tend to last very long in my house, especially with me around. I usually eat them within a few days. My top tip, however, is after you've left them for about 5 minutes so that they've gone hard, is to try a cookie then, because they are incredible when they are still slightly warm. Oh. Yeah. Oh. It's crispy, but then it's soft and warm and it's sugary. Oh, enjoy. As I said earlier in the video, the peanut butter cookies were a first time and a wee bit of an experiment, so let's just try one. Yeah, they're alright. The heat is kind of, the cooking's kind of made the peanut butter a little bit fluffy. But aside from that, it's kind of just like a cookie with a bit of peanut butter on top. So, tastes good, but I probably wouldn't do it again. I would just like to add at the end of this video that I am only messing around and joking when I am recommending about trying the raw cookie dough and mixtures. Please be careful, everybody's stomach is individual. It might affect you. So far it hasn't affected me, but that doesn't mean it might not affect you. So if you do get sick, it's not my fault, but just be very, very careful. Well, that's it. Thank you very much, guys, once again for joining me here at Journey of Footsteps. I hope you enjoy your cookies. They are delicious. And I look forward to seeing you in the next video. If you like what you saw today, please don't forget to hit the subscribe button, the like button, and hit the bell button. That will let you know when our next video is uploaded. Take care, guys.